Hello friends. So our post-colonial writings, special character and different models we have seen. Now this is the seventh model, models of syncreticity and hybridity. Seventh one, models of syncreticity, syncreticity and hybridity. And hybridity. So we have already seen, we have defined the syncreticity and hybridity. Hybridity means, like an example I gave you, T into D, tall and dwarf. No? When you cross, you get the hybrid, right? So syncreticity, almost the same, but the difference is that in syncretic situation, you have got opposing elements. They come together. An example I gave you is Judaism and Christianity, isn't it? When you have got, also I gave you examples of the rituals of Judaism and Christianity. If Judaism borrows and from Christianity and Christianity borrows from Judaism, together if you have got a ritual, then that is syncretic, you can say. Another example I gave you is capitalism and communism. So there you have got opposing, but at the same time, suppose they come together, then you get capitalism. So it's a new word that I meant, capitalism. Capitalist plus communism. So that could be, you can say, that is an example for syncretism. Understand? Or you have got the, I think this is enough for you. No, that is this much. Or a simple example, if you want, I will say, suppose you mix coffee and tea, and then that could be called a syncretic drink. Understand that? So that could be mixing coffee and tea together. You can call it a syncretic and drink, something like that. Even that is opposing things coming together. All right. So I also told you that this is Cretan states, Cretan cities in Greece. They were fighting each other. So Syncretan means they were brought together. That's the origin of this word. Cities which were fighting each other, they were brought together. So that's what I said, opposing. So from there comes syncretism. Cretan state. Syn means together. Syncretan means Cretan cities coming together. That is opposing elements or opposing factors coming together. That is syncretism. This is what you find in throughout post-colonial writings, isn't it? Imperial and colonial. In this context, it is like that. So, imperial and colonial coming together, they are opposing. And then that is syncretic nature of post-colonial writings and literatures. Post-colonial writings and literature are syncretic in nature. There's nothing like pure. Composite, you can say, composite. Nothing pure you will find in post-colonial literature. Now, the syncretism and or syncreticity and hybridity begins with the European epistemology or European theories, literary theories. Although we are speaking about post-colonial writing, the literary theory, the input for the literary theory was given by or supplied by European epistemology. Epistemology means theory of knowledge. So European epistemology supplied the input for the post-colonial literary theory. So already you have got a syncreticity and hybridity together there. Means you got a literary theory, it's not the original pure literary theory, but a mix of, that is European and post-colonial. European epistemology based on history, ancestry and past and the past. Their epistemology is based on that. Epistemology means theory of knowledge. Children, So that is, the basis is history. Then there's history, the past very important for them, and ancestry. So they always draw inspiration from these three ideas: history, then ancestry, and the past. But what happens is when the epistemology was appropriated again, that is the word used. Appropriated means modifying, accepting after making necessary changes. That is appropriateness. So the European epistemology was appropriated. What is appropriated means? Appropriated means accepting after modifying. After making some modification, what happened is they modified in such a way that the Australian poet Les Murray says, time broadens into space. Time broadens into space. Les Murray. Yes. Australian poet says, time broadens into space. That is it. Time means past. There is no past. There is no history. Time means history. Why? Because in post-colonial literary theory, what they have done is they have suppressed history. Why? Because history is painful. History is victimization. History is suppression. History is enslavement. And therefore painful, very painful. And therefore agonizing. Therefore they just discarded history. And they disrupted history. That is, for example, in the imperial purpose was annihilated. That is, history and time is temporal. Temporal. The imperial purpose was annihilated. Words like, you might have come across, Furphy, such is life. Words like Rushdie, Midnight's Children. Then Dashanis, all about H. Hatter. These are works where you find the annihilation of history, of imperial purpose. Imperial purpose means purpose of the dominating power, purpose of the masters, you can see. Isn't it? We are the others and the slaves. So, novels written by Wilson Harris. Then Patrick White's Was, that is another novel, VWS. So, received history is tampered with. That's what you find. For example, you find an example for tampering with or changing received history for the benefit of the colonized, you can say. From the point of view of colonized, they rewrote the history. For example, you find, history says, European history, Eurocentric view says, Robert Clive is the founder of British Empire in India. But Indians will say, the post-colonial historians, post-colonial writers will tamper with the history by saying that he was the greatest of all traitors. So a founder becomes a traitor. 1857 Sepoy Mutiny, the Eurocentric view is it is a mutiny. But the Indian view is it is the first deliberate struggle for independence. See how different people look at it. The imperial powers looking at the same historical event, and the colonized people looking at the same historical. Bhagat Singh for the imperial powers is a traitor, isn't it? But for Indians, he is a hero. He is a hero, he is a martyr who sacrificed his life for the freedom of his motherland. See that? How tampering with history. Tipu, considered to be a conqueror. or one who tried to annihilate the British Empire here. There is a traitor again, there is anti-national according to them. But we know as one of the first freedom fighters. Jhansi, Rani of Jhansi, same. How they look at it, how they look at her, how we look at it. So that is the tampering with history means. I hope you understand. Isn't it? When I said, VS Raids, New Day, VS Raids. Raja Rao's Kandapura, known to you. See that? Ready Waves, the temptation of Big Bear, the temptation of Big Bear. You can see that. So history is changed in favor of the other, O-T-H-E-R, other capital. History is changed in favor of the other. Already I have given you examples like that. And novels like Raja Rao's Kandapura. Or our own Indian writers, that is Midnight's Children by Rushdie, Salman Rushdie. Understand those changes. So it's changing. Historical facts are rewritten. Historical facts are reviewed, we can say, in favor of the other. You have come across Derek Walcott, St. Lucian poet and dramatist. Derek Walcott, you know. So what he does is that in his Muse of History, in his work Muse of History, he says how this tampering takes place. Muse of History. Derek Walcott and the St. Lucian poet and dramatist. So he says, Derek Walcott is known to you. Derek Walcott. So this St. Lucian poet, poet and dramatist, critic and dramatist. So what does he say? He says, in the Muse of History, he says, the West Indians, they are so much obsessed with their past. He tells them, don't worry, we have no past. Just annihilate the past and time, ancestry and history. Let us walk into a historyless world using your imagination. Don't get obsessed with, he tells them, don't get obsessed with the history, because history is very sad. History is very tragic. That's all. So the West Indian obsession with history, he says, he shoots down. And he says that, don't worry about that. Let's have imagination. Let's have a new world. Let's have a new sky and a new earth. So that where we have our own identity. Of course, you cannot, as I already told you, cannot escape from the influence of the imperial powers. Not their domination, but some of their aspect of culture. Then in the E.K. Bradley, you know him now, West Indian poet and historian. E.K. White, West Indian poet and historian. He says it's better, you can have African connection. He is a syncretic, he has got a syncretic view. You can prefer African connection. You can privilege African connection. But remember that you going back to pre-cultural purity is not practical. So let us accept the syncretic nature of post-colonial writing, the hybrid nature of post-colonial writing. You cannot escape from that, he says. So he is in favor of that, isn't it, in a way? In a way it is like that. And then a Guyanese novelist and critic, Wilson Harris, isn't it? Wilson Harris, he says, yes. So critic and then novelist, he says that, what he says is that, let's forget about history. He is the one who proposed a recrossing of the middle path. The recrossing of the middle passage. Middle passage. What is this middle passage, you know? As a symbolic, so to say, imaginative middle passage. Or what he calls is the limbo gate. Limbo gate. You know, that is the passage through which the African slaves were taken to the Caribbeans. So that is, imagine the terrible journey from Africa to the Caribbeans. That's the middle path. Says, let us, in imagination, let us recross. That means trying to forget history, trying to annihilate the past and history. For this, he takes a symbol. He takes a character, Anansi, the Spider-Man. Anansi, the Spider-Man. Spider-Man. You are very familiar with this, no? From the Anansi, the Spider-Man. He takes. And then from where? He takes Akan Foxtrot. Akan. He takes this character from Akan Fox stories. Fox story. The Spider-Man. He's a trickster. He can take any form. He has no time, no place. He can do anything and everything. Says that like that, after independence, we can also do. Let us imagine that we are going back through the, let's make a psychological journey back to Africa, through the middle passage, so that we can forget about it. And all he says that is the limbo gate. Let us forget about that. That's what he says. So there's no time, no past, no ancestry, no history. And the what remains is only the syncretic nature and hybrid nature of the post-colonial writing. And again, Homi Bhava. You are familiar with him, no? His mimicry. Post-colonial writings here, what is mimicry? That is, mimicry there he is using not in the sense of imitation, but as a kind of cheating. So mimicry, see. So that he says that the dishonest dealings of the colonizer, that's mimicry means. In his terminology, that is. So he says, if he take the example of a house for Mr. Biswas. That's a novel, famous novel by V.S. Naipaul. V.S. Naipaul, who died recently, no? Perhaps you must have read V.S. Naipaul. So he says, if you read the English surface of the text, you may think that this is supporting colonization. But under that English surface of the text, there are descriptions of social and political conditions which disrupt history, time, ancestry, and imperial connections. The metropolis, the imperial connection. Metropolis, the connection between metropolis, that is London, and your colonies, no? That is annihilated in the novel by V.S. Naipaul. If you read the surface structure of the text, just you have got the surface structure and deep structure in grammar, no? Transformational generative grammar. Surface structure of the text, you will think that it is supporting the colonizer. But actually it is not. It is opposing the colonizer. Read it like that, he says. Make a reading of a house for Mr. Biswas from that point of view, not from the point of view of the imperialists. Understand? Who exercise unlawful hegemony. Hegemony means unlawful. Hegemony involves illegal exercising of power. So that's what he says. So we have got great authors, very prominent authors, like Homi K. Baba, Wilson Harris, E. K. Brathwaite, and we have got Derek Balcott, All these people, what do they say? They say that you cannot escape from this. You can annihilate time past and all those things, the epistemology of the Europeans, Eurocentric. But there is no escape from syncreticity and hybridity. It has come to stay. That is, every post-colonial writings you will find that. Whether it's a poem, a novel, that cannot be a pure work, a purity you cannot find. That's what it is. The other day I gave you an example of vegetable stew. That is it. Now, dominance, let's think of a new world. That's what it is. All these others are there. Derek Walcott tells the West Indians, forget about all those things. Wilson Harris says that let us psychologically make a journey back to Africa. Forget about the Middle Passage. Isn't it? So, and history is tampered with in favor of the other. Already I given you the example of Bhagat Singh, Tipu and all. In the stories you will find like that. Understand? Girish Karnad, he has written about Tipu. You will find that he projects Tipu as a great modern ruler, not a traitor to the British Empire. As a great modern ruler. That is tampering with history in favor of the other. Now outside you can see the mosaic, America. Canadian literature is a mosaic and American literature is a melting pot. So there again the same problem. Americans, but at the same time, as you know, they are struggling for individuality. Americans have already gained it because of its power, economic and political power. And Canada is now trying, Canadian literature, trying to influence other literatures, trying to have their own canon, like the Americans have. This is what we should. Don't get enmeshed with the sufferings and the tragedies and agonies of the past. Forget about that. All this, great prominent, others eminent, others say like that. They are advising these colonized people to do it. Because something, whether we like it or not, has come to stay. But at the same time, let us struggle out of dominance. Let us cut this umbilical cord. When we began, I told you, that is there. Cut this umbilical cord. This metropolitan colonial axis, let us destroy. Let's have a new world where you find the equal terms, differences but equal terms. You are different, he is different, but equal. Agree to disagree. That's what you have to do. Understand that? This is what it is. The metropolitan colonial axis comes to an end with the independence of all the colonies. But what remains, you can see the syncretic nature of post-colonial writing and the hybrid nature of post-colonial writing, which you simply cannot escape from. So let us accept it. At the same time, let us struggle and let us fight for our independence. A world where we will all be different, a multicultural world, where we will be different but equal terms, not colonizer and colonized, not dominating and dominated, not first world and third world, not first world and the other. Alterity, alienation, bye-bye. That's what these people say. So, thus we have come to the end of the discussion of different models. I hope that you have been enjoying my classes. I should be thinking like that. You are enjoying my class. And let's go through the main models once again. And now we have got two more points to discuss. One is thematic parallels. The other is giving a name to this. What should we give? Should we call it Commonwealth literature, Should we call it New World literature? Should we call it Teranglia? Should we call it post-colonial writings or post-colonial literature? What is the advantage of naming it, etc., etc.? We will see in the next two classes. So we have that once again, summing up what the models. You remember, first is national and regional models. Regional, America and West Indies, South Pacific and West Indies, South Pacific, mainly. These are the two areas, regions. Second is comparative models. Comparative models of various hues and colors, various comparative models. Like we have got white compared. America with Canada, Canada with New Zealand with America. And then black. This Africans with the minority black in America and majority black in Africa. Then black and white. That you can bridging. That is American black with the Nigerians. Nigerian diaspora, American diaspora and so on. Diaspora. And three. What is the third you remember? Race-based models. Race-based. Isn't it? And then we saw the philosophy of negritude, where there are the special characteristics of African literature. Emotional rather than rational. Seeing the whole thing rather than dissecting and going into minute details. And fourth one we saw, what are the language and place. Language and place. Language and place. So where the important language, questioning the efficiency of an important language to describe culture and experience, landscape experience of another country. Understand? Or it can be bilingual or monolingual. As in America it is monolingual, in India it is bilingual. And the fifth model we saw, colonizer and colonized. Isn't it? Colonizer and colonized. That is the relationship, the dialectic between the colonizer and the colonized. And there you can see the main issue was pre-colonial cultural recuperation. Isn't it? An appeal for, a fervent appeal for pre-colonial cultural recuperation, which is not possible. Isn't it? And the sixth one, dominating and dominated. Dominating and dominated. Here you can see the exercise of hegemony. How domination has affected the social, political, cultural and psychological aspects of the writers, post-colonial writers. That's what we saw. And the seventh and the last model or approach. Models, or you can say approach. Approach is syncretic and hybrid. Hybrid models. And this we saw right from epistemology, appropriation of epistemology, changing of historical perspectives, annihilating time and history. Right? Then we are going forward to establish a new multicultural world where difference is, where everybody is equal though different. Agree to disagree. Now, just two more simple topics left, as I told you, that we will see the next two classes. Till then, bye bye.